Got a suggestion here from Susan Clare, and I'm just champing at the bit to have a gander. Apparently, Chuck Schumer has introduced a new bill to declassify UFO-related government records.
More legislative measures are being put forth that would put classified UFO-related records in the government's possession. According to the New York Times, Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer is backing legislation that would create a commission with broad authority to declassify documents about unidentified aerial phenomenon and other extraterrestrial matters.
Schumer is expected to introduce an amendment to the annual defense bill, and so far lawmakers on both sides of the aisle appear poised to support measures of this kind. Here to discuss the growing interest in Congress about uncovering what could be hovering in our skies is Mark von Reinenkampf, opinion contributor for The Hill. Welcome, Mark.
Hey guys, thanks so much for having me.
All right, Mark, so where's the alien,
like
man? I'm sorry, Jess, we got to let him pull out the alien.
Yes.
You want to pull out an alien right now? Ooh, I wish I could. But sure, Michael, I'm going to have to punt to Congress for that.
Go ahead, Jess.
Right. Yeah. It seems that a lot of folks have put the alien question in the camp of it's a matter of national security. And I'm in the camp of it's a matter of human curiosity and human interest. It exceeds just one nation's borders. So this seems like a step in the right direction. What do you make of these recent moves by Congress?
They're extraordinary, and to answer your question, Jessica, I think they can be both. They can be matters of human curiosity.
No, it's okay. I'll take this one, Honky. Look, I think it's silly. It is a bit silly. First of all, it's important to note, though, UFO does not mean alien. There's a reason that term is used and has been used, and I think they're even updating it now to be even more accurate. It's an unidentified object. If we knew it was an alien, boy, it sure would be identified. It has the practical benefit of making it less weird for people to call these things in, possibly because we want civilians to be on the lookout, including civilian pilots, or aircraft we're not used to seeing because maybe we suspect they are there. Likely what we're talking about is another country's spy, whatever. A drone that does this, that, or the other thing. Okay. I'm glad that they're doing this not for that reason, though. I'm glad that Chuck Schumer is introducing this bill. I'm glad that it seems to have, generally speaking, bipartisan support. Nobody can think of a reason why they want to make a big stink over this. Simply because it normalizes making less things classified. We over-classify the hell out of everything. My understanding is that it's basically so that bureaucrats can get away with doing a half-assed job most of the time and not have to answer questions about it. Good. I like the idea of Chuck Schumer tying in defense funding with requirement that the government spill a little bit. Tell us what the hell this stuff is. And I'm looking forward to a bunch of really fun document releases. All right, let's hear whatever this guy has to say.
And national security, but I want to maybe step back from the aliens and the little green men and make maybe 2 points. What we're seeing now is remarkable bipartisanship. Again, we can separate all the talk of UFOs and aliens. We are seeing extraordinary bipartisanship on a topic. I don't know if you guys can think of another topic that has pulled together the various strains of American politics, from Make America Great Republicans to more moderate Republicans like Rubio, and then Democrats like Senator Schumer.
I do think to some degree, yeah, they are just happy to have something they don't have to fight about. That's fun. That's fun.
Gillibrand, Harry Reid before he passed away. So remarkable bipartisanship. And then secondly, I just want to quickly comment on the extraordinary nature of the language that we've seen in this legislation, both the pending right now and last year and the previous years. I'm of the opinion that Congress will not put language about potential reverse engineering of UFOs into federal law without some good basis and some solid grounding to include such extraordinary language.
I mean, Mark, what do you make of some of the whistleblower testimony reports that we've seen? We've covered this here. A former Air Force pilot saying that there is something out there. We've seen some reports of individuals who worked for a secret organization within the Pentagon that have argued we actually do have these aliens and we do have these spacecraft. I mean,
Just a side note, nonsense. Absolute nonsense. No, we do not. The American government, love it or hate it, you got to admit this here is fact, cannot keep a secret to save its soul. We did not find aliens. It is too interesting. I'm sorry. I want it to be true. I can't stand the Fermi paradox. I tell you, I look at John Michael Gauthier videos at least once a week. I desperately want there to be aliens, and I want them to be advanced enough to have reached us, either in a colony ship or by somehow figuring out faster than light travel, whatever. Didn't happen. I'm so sorry. But it would be interesting.
Is there any legitimacy to what we're hearing? Because a lot of people are following this stuff and are starting to think, well, wait a minute here. Is the government keeping something from us?
That's $1 million question, Michael. You know, I got to say, I think everything needs to be taken with a grain of salt and skeptically. But when you start putting together all of the data points and you know, you take an analytic perspective, things get really interesting because, yes, and I've talked to some of those former Navy pilots who observe via radar or visually objects off the U.S. East Coast on a daily basis. I don't, you know, Senator Rubio said this pretty clearly. I don't see how you go from a squadron commander or a wing commander to just suddenly making stuff up about extraordinary events.
The same way a non-squadron commander does. You get bored. Now, to be clear, I don't want to accuse this person of lying. Maybe they did see a thing, this, that, or the other thing. Again, I fall back to unidentified object. Not the same as an alien. Want it to be. Ooh, I want it to be. I just don't think it is. That said, it's probably time to declassify these things, right? I'm going to look at what you guys are saying while we keep this playing.
To the whistleblowers and the others who have spoken, again, their claims are extraordinary. But when you start listening to what the legislators and the lawmakers who have actually either spoken with these individuals or been briefed on what they've said, you know, they all say, and I just saw this yesterday, Mike Gallagher, a very, broadly respected Republican, said, these claims should be taken seriously. And not just because of the credibility of the individual.
Oh, man. Hold on. Neil Mick. Is the government keeping something from... I'm misquoting already. Neil Mick saying, is the government keeping something from us? This is the U.S. government. All right, fair. Fair enough. Zix, and is the secret proof of aliens what Orange is really trying to hang on to? Oh my God, I would love that. I would love that so much. Tamara Chan Sylvester Stallone is obviously from outer space. Well, that we knew. Don't get me started on Chuck Norris. Wireless Mike, any advanced enough life that could reach us would be smart enough to avoid us like the plague. Honestly, truly, there is some truth to that. Like, if we were capable of reaching another planet. All right, we'll talk aliens for a second. You know those tribes in South America that are uncontacted? There's rules against us like you and me driving down there and saying hello, because we carry with us a worldwide petri dish of diseases that they are not prepared for. And we would probably accidentally cause the destruction of the entire tribe just by showing up and breathing. Similarly, there is almost nothing we could offer aliens. Water, precious water on planet Earth? Nope. There's whole bands of comets, which just frozen, it's just ice floating out there that they could grab up if they wanted basically infinite water. Fill in the blank with anything. There is literally a planet made out of diamonds out there. It's just a gigantic diamond, the planet. There's nothing we have that they would need to come here specifically to take. That the technology needed to come here would not absolutely negate. As in, they could just go to a bunch of other places and collect it and whatever. So, if aliens showed up, it would probably be to study us from afar. And just like we can study meerkats on the savannah with a satellite, if we wanted to make sure we weren't seen, they would most likely have ways of studying us without us ever knowing. That said, hey, things go wrong all the time. So maybe.
Individuals that are making the claims, but also because in Gresh's case, the key whistleblower, he's represented by a former inspector general of the intelligence community. That is, he was an Obama-appointed, Senate-confirmed, high-profile lawyer. So these are not, these are not individuals that would back up extraordinary claims if there were not something to them.
What do you make of this commission coming out of Congress to have the authority to declassify these documents? Because I can see a world where someone doesn't believe that they have the knowledge necessary to fully understand the security concerns, especially understanding that a lot of UAPs could just be, spacecraft that's human in form. It could be, spacecraft that's non-alien run. It could be, maybe Russia or China, as we've reported on here.
Truly, to me, that's what's more interesting. I promise you, there are experimental drones out there that are being tested left and right simply because it's cheaper. Not because it's more effective, not because it's any of the cool stuff. It's just cheaper to use a drone as opposed to something that is required to have enough engine capacity to carry a human being along with it as well. So I'm real curious about that. You could have shapes and patterns of movement that, I want to crack into. What really interests me about all this, and I would encourage you to listen for the opportunities in the rest of this video, is finding out how our government deals with the unknown. That's what I want to see from these documents. I almost called them leaks. They wouldn't be leaks. They would just be released. From unclassifying these UA unexplained aerial phenomenon. I want to find out what our government does about the unknown. My suspicion is that we document it and then do nothing. No studies, no attempts to recreate with technology that we have. No investigation whatsoever. Simply, it's documented and forgotten about. That would disappoint me the most, and it is also and yet it's what I expect.
Creating some of the alien spacecraft that they have grounded in their airspace. It sounds like the whistleblowers are saying we have just over a dozen having landed in the United States or in the position of the U.S. military. So what does this mean, really, having Congress holding the keys to what information is made public?
Great question, Jessica. And I hate to disappoint you, but I have not read the actual language of this legislation yet. But from my understanding,
disappointing.
from folks that I've spoken with who have the kind of some inside baseball on this, it is remarkably comprehensive. It's detailed. So I'm going to punt a little bit. I'd like to see what the actual legislation says, but to the best of my understanding, it's modeled on a 1992 law to kind of bring forward all of the records associated with the JFK assassination, which is it's a landmark piece of federal.
Great suggestion, Foxy.
I think it's extraordinary. It's a remarkable step to see Senator Schumer, the Senate Majority Leader, get involved. So I'm going to punt a little bit, but I'm curious to see what that language actually looks like.
Same.
Merrick, let me ask you this question. Republican Congressman Tim Burchett out of Tennessee recently stated he had an opportunity to look at the classified UFO footage, and he said it's real and there is definitely something out there. Are we prepared for whatever this thing is or these things are? I mean, how serious are our lawmakers taking this? How serious is the military apparatus taking this?
Okay, that's a more dramatically phrased version of, are they actually following up on this? To be clear, I don't think they have an obligation to sound the alarm and put all hands on deck, because most likely, as we've discovered through actual investigations going way back, it ends up being, a weather balloon or a malfunctioning lens on a camera, etc., etc., etc. But sometimes it's a hobbyist with a drone.
I think lawmakers are remarkably serious, and we can see that in the language that we've seen over the last couple of years. The bipartisan language has been, again, extraordinary. We're talking about multiple dozens of pages of federal law devoted to this. So I think lawmakers are extremely serious. I think elements of the government are kicking and screaming, and they're resisting this. I don't know if maybe that's nefarious. I worked in the government, and the vast majority of people that I worked with were good folks that have the best interest of the country and national security at heart.
But they do like covering their butts, and they don't like making a habit of unclassifying anything.
And there's certainly, I know there are individuals in the government that are curious about this topic. So it's a mixed bag on how the government is treating this. It's not a monolithic institution, but I can tell you with certainty that Congress is dead serious about understanding this and getting to the bottom of whatever this is.
With these whistleblowers in both the military and intelligence community speaking out about UFOs or UAPs, you've done a lot of reporting on what they have said. What do you think the response from the public is generally like? Are people ready to know about potential extraterrestrials interacting with people on Earth or even visiting Earth?
So that is the $1 million question, and to be honest, I don't think I'm qualified to answer that question. I can talk to pilots, I can report on what Congress is saying. I think that's a deeper philosophical question that I guess I'll answer it this way. Let's see how the next few weeks go in terms of hearings. Let's see what the congressional language that Senator Schumer, when he releases it, when it comes out, let's see where this all goes, and maybe we could have that discussion in a month or two, in a year from now. Let's let the process play out, and it's a great.
Okay, so to recap, Schumer's tying military spending to the release of documents regarding the United States government's interactions with unidentified flying objects, now to be called unidentified aerial phenomenon, exposing what these things, or rather expanding what these things could be with that change of term. Good. Do I think we are going to find out that aliens are real? Or rather, aliens have visited us? No. Number one, because we just can't keep a secret. I mean, we really can't in the U.S. government. Number two, Trump was president. I'm sorry. I know at least one person watching probably was a big fan of his. That guy has a pathologic inability to keep his mouth shut about state secrets. If there were aliens, he would have blabbed. But I do think it's going. Number one, for the boring but important stuff, it's good for us to make a habit of declassifying things. I think this is a great symbolic declassifying to have happen. It's like one of the most stereotypical government classified documents. Oh, this is about aliens, so hush hush. Why? Why? I'm glad that this is, and it's something we're all curious about. Come on, of course, we should know. If we actually did hang out with aliens, we should know. So I'm glad that it's setting a precedent here. Good. It's normalizing this as a demand. Declassify this, that, the other thing. I think it will reveal to us, maybe not the existence of aliens, but it will reveal to us how our government, if you live in the U.S., handles these sorts of situations. How proactive are they? How much do they look into these things? That will be good to know. And to a lesser degree, I do think we might further science a little bit. We might notice a pattern. The civilian hobbyists who, as the years go on, I just put more and more faith in. They might notice something that everybody who's working a 9-to-5 for the government missed. Simply because they don't have any particular goal. They're able just to look at the footage, look at the documents, and pursue what interests them, as opposed to a stated goal. Find us where the Ruskies were in this. Find us where China was in this piece of lint on a lens. Well, they might find out that, well, it turns out that at X many thousand feet, the lenses on in these surveillance planes that we use fog. It could be something as simple as that, or it could be something fascinating. I don't know. I do think it's going to be damned interesting to read through, and I can't wait. Great suggestion, Wicked Foxy Dragon. Thank you for that.